Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video all about my 5-star reads of the last 3 months. I did this in the summer where I went over the 5-star reads I read throughout June, July, and August, so I will link that down below if you're interested, but now I am talking about September, October, and November. Every single 5-star read I read. I really love doing this video so you guys can see the good books that I read because I read a lot. I read over 30 books a month, and it's kind of hard to remember what I thought about a book, what I liked, or even just watch all of my videos that I come out with, so this is an easy spot for you to see what I've loved throughout the last 3 months. I have quite a list. I feel like it's not as big as the summer's list because the last 3 months have been okay reading months for me. I found some new favorites, but I also found a lot of duds, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get to it. So the first one is no surprise. This author is going to show up here a couple of times, and that is Refuge by Catherine Cowles. This one is the 4th book or 3rd book in the Rec series. You can read them out of order if you'd like to. This series especially isn't super interconnected, so skip to this one if you want to. It is about a woman on the run. I love that trope. Catherine's books always have really good suspense in them. So her brother is in a facility because he is psychotic and murdered their parents, and so she's on the run and hoping he'll stay away, but she is hiding out on this island as the caretaker for this family's island, but the family sells it to an artist, and the artist is also running from a past because his art was used by a serial killer to murder people, and he is horrified and he just wants an escape, so he buys the island, and she's still the caretaker there, and they fall in love, and someone is killing people on the mainland, and things get crazy from there. It is so good. I just love the secluded environment of being an island, and they're living on there together, and they can't stay away from each other even though they're both really damaged and broken and don't want to really branch out and meet new people because they can't trust a lot of people. So good. Definitely read Catherine Cowles if you haven't. I think I have one more on this list by her. The next one is Wanting Mr. Kane by Shanora Williams. If you have been watching me at all the past few months, you know how obsessed I became with this series. This one is a dad's best friend romance, and Candy has known Kane for a good bit of her life, but when she turns 18, she is like, it's my time. And Kane is finally seeing her for the first time as someone he'd be interested in, but Kane has a girlfriend, and he is the best friend of her dad, and her dad really trusts him because they helped each other out through a really rough time, but Kane is a millionaire, and he is amazing, and they have a secret romance, and it's so good. I do like the first one better than the rest of the series. That's why only the first book is on this list, but check out the series if you like a good age gap romance. I also forgot I still need to continue the series, but the latest book in the Hangman series I read was Souls Unfractured. This is everyone's favorite, and I can definitely tell this is my favorite in the series too. This is Maddie and Flame's book. Maddie and Flame are the two most damaged people of this series. Maddie is from a cult where they did horrible things to young women, and so Maddie was one of them. They ended up escaping and finding refuge with this motorcycle club, and so this one I think is book 3, and Flame is also very, very damaged, so they have very dark pasts. Please know that going in. They were both violated horrifically by people that they trusted and people that they didn't trust, that they were thrown into their lives, and so they end up really connecting. Flame is someone who can't be touched, but for some reason he feels like Maddie can touch him, and they heal together, and it is just amazing, but like I said, very dark, but they find comfort in each other and love in each other, and I loved it, and they're like the only people they can trust, and it's so good. Please read the series at least to get to this book. This one though you definitely have to read in order, so wait to get to this one. Then I read Passion and Venom, which I need to buy in paperback because the covers are stunning. I need to continue the series, and this one is a captor-captive romance. It's mafia. The heroine's from a mafia family and married a mafia guy, and she's in love with him, but literally on their wedding day he is murdered in front of her face, and she is taken hostage by the enemy of her husband, and she is kept in horrific conditions and does not know who kidnapped her. He comes finally to visit and realizes who she is. They had known each other, and he knew her father, and so he whisks her away to his main house and doesn't treat her the best still, but they start kind of falling for each other, and he is very protective and possessive, especially over people who live with him, because he has this whole like compound of people who work for him and live with him, and it's good. Very dark. She is literally kidnapped, watches her husband die, goes through really bad things, very bad things, but It is so good. I love the dynamic between the hero and the heroine, and I'm so excited to continue on. But if you like a mafia romance, dark, capture captive, read this one. Yeah, next one I read because of Tori from Novel Life, and that is The Words by Ashley Jade. I was very, very wary. It's very chunky and it's contemporary, but it is a rock star romance, and they meet when they're in high school and kind of fall in love with one another, but then the hero really betrays the heroine and she absolutely hates him. He leaves and he goes off to be a big rock star. Now he has lost someone in the band. He is spiraling and in drugs and alcohol and just a liability for the band. So the manager says, we need someone to babysit him basically who will not fall for him, because everybody has so far and no one's been able to keep him in line. One of his bandmates grew up with them and knows that the heroine would absolutely not take any of his crap, and so they go to her and say, we need you to help him. She's like, no, but they give her an offer she can't refuse because she needs the money, and she accepts and ends up being like his babysitter. And they obviously fall in love. There's so much angst and emotion in here though, and the hero's really, really broken down, and he is trying to recover from that and working on their relationship, why she's so hurt from it. I love this so much, and it was so emotional, like definitely very emotional read. I'm so excited for the duet coming out in January about side characters in here, because that's going to be super emotional as well. It is a character with her, I don't remember if it was her boyfriend or fiance, but his brother, because her boyfriend slash fiance is the one who died, and it's gonna be a really good romance. I'm pretty sure it's with brother, at least a bandmate, but it's gonna be good. Then I have Heartless by Elsie Silver. We are not surprised. I'm pretty sure Flawless was on my list for the summer. Heartless is Cade's story. It is Cade and Willa, and it is just something that literally everybody's obsessed with. So Willa ends up getting a babysitting job for Cade because Cade's a single dad. He's a farmer, and he doesn't want her to be the babysitter, but his brother's girlfriend slash fiance, I don't remember if they're actually engaged or not, is her best friend, and she's like, you need a nanny. You're being too picky. I have the perfect one for you. So Willa moves in and is the nanny to Cade's son, and the son was amazing. I loved his character so much. I love it when the single parent romances actually have engaging kids who are characters in themselves instead of being like just a plot device for the couple to get together. But Cade and Willa have explosive chemistry, and it is absolutely amazing, putting me in all my cowboy feels. Like, I need all the cowboy romances now. It is so good. Love the family in here. Love the dynamic between all the characters. Cannot wait for the next book. Elsie Silver literally can do no wrong. Then I have my second Catherine Cowles book, and that is Fractured Sky. This one is the last book in the Tattered and Torn series, and this one is Shiloh's story, and the hero's name is Ramsey. Ramsey owns a farm where he rehabilitates damaged horses who have gone through really bad things, and so Shiloh was kidnapped as a child, and that's really affected her growing up, and she's very standoffish to people, doesn't really want to be around people, especially her family. And so Ramsey can see her struggling and offers for her to stay in his guest house and work with him, and she takes him up on the offer. So they rehabilitate horses together, and they heal together because they both have really bad pasts and they don't really want to trust anybody, but they really have a connection they can't really explain between them, and they trust each other. And I love this so much. I loved all the animals. I loved everything that happened. There's some suspense in the end, which we know Catherine loves, but this was a great ending to the series. 5 stars, one of my favorite series. Another one that was a complete surprise is Devil of Devlin by B.B. Easton. I read this with not too high of expectations and was blown away. It is a dark romance. The hero now is like kind of in the mafia. He's like a hitman for them, and it starts out when they're young and they fall in love. The hero is in a very bad situation. He has been hurt a lot, and the heroine meets him because she's in Ireland for a funeral, and then she visits every summer and they connect, but then they're separated for years, and the heroine's life turns horribly. She's treated horribly, goes through really bad things, and then they're reconnected when she has to come back for a different funeral with her fiance, and she sees our hero, and they have this whirlwind kind of adventure together because they end up running away together because the hero is in a little bit of trouble with his job and the heroine just wants to be with him. So super action-packed. It is like a soulmates romance in Ireland with the mafia. Everything I loved. I could not put this one down, and it's definitely a favorite of the year. Then I have Close Quarters by Candy Steiner, another one that was really surprising because I stopped reading Candy for a little bit because I wasn't loving her new releases. So I went back and read this one on audio, and it was so good. It's a millionaire romance, and the hero owns a yacht. The heroine's boyfriend is a yachty. He works on the yacht. She's gonna travel around taking photos because she is a photographer, and the hero, the owner of the yacht, sees her and is like, why don't you stay on the yacht and be my photographer? And she says, okay. Well, her and her boyfriend start not getting along really well because she sees a different side of him being a yachty, and she starts spending more time with our billionaire yacht owner, and it is so good. Such a fun time. Definitely more of a summer read, but I loved reading this. Couldn't recommend it enough. Very angsty because she's got a boyfriend but she's dating someone else. Very pleasant surprise from Candy. Then I have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Potts, and this was another one that was surprising because I knew people loved it. It is a traditionally published romance, which I don't typically read, and it's a ghost romance though, which I was very excited for. So this one, our heroine is a ghost writer, and she has writer's block though because her heart was absolutely broken and she's writing a romance and she does not want to write it, and so she visits the new editor and he's like, no, you don't get an extension, but he thinks that she is the assistant to the actual author when she's the one ghostwriting. And so she has to go home because her father ends up passing away, so she has to return back home. It definitely has a more serious edge to it because the heroine's going home for a funeral and the whole family is grieving her father, but the family owns a funeral home, so they have this kind of like joke about death where they don't take it too seriously and they grieve through humor. So it was very interesting, and I really liked her dynamics with her family. And then what happens is though, she sees the ghost of her editor at her hometown while she's trying to get through her father's funeral, and they end up falling in love with each other, but he's a ghost and she knows that means that he's dead because she can see ghosts, and it is so good. It does have an HEA, do not worry about that, but I need more ghost romances in my life. It definitely gave me Mediator vibes by Meg Cabot, which I loved growing up, so definitely check this one out if you haven't yet. I read it during the spooky season and it was absolutely perfect. Then a historical romance I read was A Matter of Temptation by Stacey Reid. I was pleasantly surprised by this because I didn't love books 2 and 3, but book 1 is like my favorite of all time. So book 4 is about a heroine whose brother is in charge of the estate. I believe they're twins, and he has like gambled a lot away and they're pretty much broke, and he ends up trying to gamble for money back and ends up having to go into a duel because he was cheating. And the heroine's like, you're literally gonna die. Like, this is not gonna happen. And she's really good at sword fighting, so she decides to take his place dressed as a man and beats I think it's a duke, I don't remember his title, but beats the guy who had been in the duel with her, and he's very intrigued by her, realizes who she is though, and offers her a job as his assistant. And so she takes the job as his assistant, but then it's their romance, and it's so much fun. I love this one. From the beginning, I was just so into the story and the heroine taking the place of her brother and then working for this guy, but she's super attracted to him, and I loved it. Super happy that Stacey Reid had another hit for me, and I'm excited to see what she has next. Another historical romance that took me by surprise is Yours Until Dawn by Teresa Medeiros. This is definitely a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Our heroine takes a job as a nurse for this duke who is blind, and he is so angry at the world, and he had his heart broken because when he turned blind he got scarred. His betrothed just left him, and so he's angry. He just growls around his castle, basically his estate, and all the curtains are closed, everything just looks gross. And so the heroine gets a job as his nurse because he's scared off everyone, and she is different. She's like, I'm gonna whip this house into shape, and I'm gonna whip you into shape, and you're gonna be human again. You're not gonna be this grumpy monster you are. So she ends up really changing him in his life, and there are so many twists and turns in here I was not expecting. I was just shocked. We read this for our, I think it was historical romance readathon, and Lacey and Lisa were talking, and at least one of them was like, yeah, the shocking twist was like pretty obvious. And I was like, I had no idea. Like, I did not see it coming. I love romances that can keep me on my toes. I love a damaged and scarred hero, a heroine with a secret. It was amazing. 5 stars. Super excited to read more from this author. Then I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This one is an older woman, younger man, small town romance. She is I believe a doctor in the big city. He is younger and he runs a bed and breakfast in a small town. She gets stuck in the small town. He ends up helping her and like saving her from guys trying to hit on her at a bar while she's waiting for her car to be fixed, and she ends up spending the night with him as a one-night stand, and they can't stay away from each other, but she is still trying to be thrown together with this guy at the hospital by her parents, who's an ex of hers who treated her really horribly, and she keeps on returning to this small town in order to just like feel loved and feel this just good life that she's been missing, and it is so good. She has to think, is this relationship gonna work? How could it work? Like, she has this super successful rich life in the city, but she's in love with this guy who's just like running a bed and breakfast and kind of struggling with money, wanting to make his own carpentry business, and it was so good. I was pleasantly surprised. I love this. Then a new favorite author of mine, Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. This is a single dad sad, friends to lovers, kind of workplace romance. She's a comedian. She gets this huge job in this tour with successful female comedians, and they're like, we need a little bit of publicity, so can you fake date your manager, who used to be a huge comedian as well, and he has a daughter, and they have been friends for like 10 years now, and they decided to fake date. And it is so, so cute. I'm dying to reread this because I just need to feel the cuteness again. It just has just warm and fuzzy vibes in it, and it's friends to lovers, which I really love. I love the hero. He was older. His daughter is deaf, and I loved that the heroine could communicate with her, and there's just so many layers to this book that I loved. You have to read it. Then we have Kiwi Tyler with What Was Meant to Be, super angsty and taboo, age gap romance, dad's best friend. They actually had a relationship when she was 18, and it was really, really hot and heavy for a while, but then he breaks her heart because he gets scared. He leaves for Doctors Without Borders, and then she starts dating someone else. They get engaged. He comes back, and he's like, that's my woman. She's not getting engaged to anybody but me. So he tries to win her back, and it's so good. So much angst because she is currently engaged to someone, but the love of her life is back in her life, and she still loves him definitely, but then they can't tell anybody because it's her dad's best friend. Huge age gap, very taboo. I was obsessed. So excited to have a new favorite from Kiwi Tyler. She can just write taboo forbidden romances so well, and I could not put this down. Then I have Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This one's another second chance romance. I love second chance romances and friends to lovers. Those are like my two favorite tropes this year, but this one is between a divorced couple, and the heroine and hero divorced because they lost a child together and couldn't heal together, so they needed time apart, and now I think it's 2 years later, and the hero decides to date again, and the heroine is like, I don't know if I like this, and so they have to fight to be back together again. They have kids who are in the picture as well. This deals heavily with therapy and mental health and depression and understanding what you need and how to get help and how to be in a relationship when you have to take care of yourself as well. So I really, really love this one. I loved all the kids in here as well, and the story was just so interesting. I love how they had such a rich history together and had only loved each other and were trying to move on, but they couldn't stop thinking about each other, and I just love this one so much. Then I have Holiday Romance. This one is a Christmas romance, and I think it's one of 2 Christmas romances on this list. This one is a traveling romance. Our hero and heroine are friends. Like I said, friends to lovers, but they end up going to Ireland every year together for Christmas. They fly together because he used to date her friend, and they just like meet each other every year now, and we get flashbacks to every flight they've taken. He had fallen first, so he had been crushing on her the whole time, and this time their flight is canceled, and the heroine promises the hero she'll get him home for Christmas. So it's this traveling whirlwind adventure to try to get home, and it was so good. I love a traveling romance. I love how it's so forced proximity, and we gradually get the flashbacks in the past of them slowly falling for each other. Mostly the hero though, and it was adorable. I had a lot of fun. Definitely check this out if you're in the mood for Christmas romance. Then I have another favorite author, which is B.K. Borison. In the Weeds, I gave Lovelight Farms 4 stars, but this one's absolutely 5-star reads. He's a farmer. He works on Lovelight Farms, which was in book 1, but this one is with the social media influencer from book 1 as well. She is not loving her life. She is not loving what she has set out to do with her platform, and she wants to help small businesses. It's really growing into this thing for money with this company she's working with, so she decides to go back to the one place that made her happy, and that was Lovelight Farms with the hero who she had a one-night stand with a few months ago, and so now they're reunited, and she has to stay with him because the town's like, there's no openings anywhere. Guess you gotta go stay with Beckett, and it was adorable. Beckett falls so hard for her, and I just love their connection and her trying to find her happiness again, and him being scared she's gonna leave again, and it was so good. I was swooning so hard over Beckett. I loved him. Then I have 'Tis the Season for Revenge, and this one is taking the romance community by storm. It is so good. This one is about a heroine who was in a very abusive relationship. It was emotionally abusive. He made her feel worthless and made her do things that no one in a relationship should have to do by themselves, and he was just very thoughtless, and so she had changed herself for him, thought they were getting engaged. He breaks her heart, so she decides to date his boss to get revenge. Little does she know she's gonna fall head over heels for the boss, and he is this very rich and successful lawyer, and he treats her like gold and wants her to find her confidence again and just be herself, and it is so good. Oh my gosh, even if it's not Christmas, please read this book because the hero's amazing. I love the heroine's journey, and it got a little bit angsty because she hadn't told him who she is, and you know that's hanging over their heads, and it's just so good. Then I have A House of Earth and Blood, which is a reread. I don't know if rereads count, but I never ever reread. I love this book. It's fantasy romance. We all pretty much know what it is. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I am going to read book 2 soon, but this one, so good. And the last one I have is Kiss Her Once for Me by Allison Cochran. This one is also like a Christmas romance. It's sapphic. It's second chance. Our heroines had a one-night stand on Christmas last year. They did not part on good terms, and the heroine that we follow now is brokenhearted. She needs money. Her mother keeps on taking money from her, and it's not a good situation. Well, she gives her mom money. And so she is not in the design field she wants to be in because she's an artist, so she's working at this coffee shop, and she's just down on her luck, and the owner of the building of the coffee shop comes in, and he actually needs to marry to get an inheritance. And so they end up having a date, and he's like, why don't we just get married so we can both get some money? And she's like, fine, sure, because they were drunk when it happened, but she agrees and goes home with him for Christmas and realizes that the woman she had hooked up with a year ago is his sister. There are definitely lingering feelings there, and obviously like she's gonna end up with a sister, and I love the angst. There was so much drama in here, and it kind of turned into like a love square because the guy she was going to get married to also was kind of falling for someone else at their Christmas celebration, and there's definitely conflict with the parents as well, and I just love this book so much. It was so fun, and I love the Christmas aspect of it, and I just could not put it down. And those are all the 5-star reads I read in the fall. Let me know what your favorite reads of September, October, and November was, and if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were. I would love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.